This is WJTV News Channel 12 at 5.
A metro area native receives the Medal of Honor at the White House. Today we'll take you to the moving ceremony. New findings in the investigation into the election night incident at the Hinds County Courthouse. We'll have a live report.
Find out where you can walk among 1,000-year-old cypress trees in today's edition of Southbound.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Melanie Christopher. Thanks for joining us. In our news, a child is recovering in the hospital after a pit bull attacks him in Jackson this afternoon. It happened around 3:30 this afternoon in the 1000 block of Donnybrook Street. When our crews arrived on the scene, animal control was at the home. However, the animal control officer tells us the pit bull was not taken into custody. The child was transported to the hospital. Jackson police are investigating a shooting involving a Hinds County Detention Center officer. It happened on California Avenue around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police say the detention officer shot a man in the arm. The man is undergoing surgery at this time. No word if charges have been filed. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you more as it becomes available. For the latest, visit the WJTV Facebook and Twitter pages and WJTV.com. Today, a Metro native is awarded the highest honor in the military. Retired Corporal William Kyle Carpenter received the Medal of Honor this afternoon during a ceremony at the White House. Carpenter was wounded in 2010 by a grenade while guarding a patrol base in Afghanistan. He placed himself between the explosive and another Marine and ended up losing his right eye and most of his jaw. He was medically retired last summer. Carpenter will be the 8th living recipient to be chosen for the Medal of Honor for actions in Iraq or Afghanistan. President Obama says he is the perfect example of the strength and resilience that defines the American people.
With that singular act of courage, Kyle, you not only saved your brother in arms, you displayed a heroism in the blink of an eye that will inspire for generations. Valor worthy of our nation's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor.
I think about the Marines who are with me in Marja. If I close my eyes today, I can still hear their desperate medevacs being called over the radio as they bled out in the fields of Afghanistan. Today, I accept the medal for them. I will wear it for every person that makes up our great and blessed nation.
Carpenter also said to remember to be grateful for the little things and to hold strong when things get tough. Now, let's head over to our meteorologist, Brad Mousehart, for our first look at the weather. Brad?
Well, a very hot day out there. Heat index values in many spots approaching or above that 100-degree mark. A little bit of cloud cover and even a couple spotty showers. One was severe earlier, now pushing its way in towards Sharkey and Humphreys counties. Let's head that way first. A couple other spotty showers here towards the southern half of the state, but this is where we're seeing the heaviest rain, at least for the time being. Back here towards the Belzona area, just starting to push in your direction. Louise over towards Rolling Fork, and eventually starting to push its way out now of Yazoo City. Let's zoom back out and I'll show you where these storms are headed as we head through the next couple hours. Again, these all fueled by the sunlight out there. So as we start to head towards the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock hour, these storms will start to weaken drastically and push their way on out of the viewing area altogether. Another little shower popping up right now just to the northwest of that 220 loop. So again, not too bad right now. A little bit of a gust of wind as well. Let's take a little closer look at that one more time back here towards the Jackson area. This is a gust front showing up here on the radar. That just means once the storm starts to fade out, it blows out some cooler winds. So right now through the Clinton area, you've probably seen that. Bolton's going to see that here in a little bit. And right now through the Jackson Metro, starting to see this gust of wind pushing its way back out. That could be in excess of about 30 miles per hour. So you might just see some of that. Otherwise, again, just a couple scattered showers out there this evening. Not going to have to deal with many widespread showers throughout the weekend, but they are possible. I'll have details on that the rest of your 8-day forecast coming up.
To track changes on the go, we have information posted online and on social media and on our weather app. It's free in the App Store. Hinds County District Attorney Robert Smith releases the findings of his investigation into how 3 Chris McDaniel supporters got locked inside the courthouse on the night of the primary election. The campaign for State Senator Chris McDaniel admits sending Scott Brewster, Janice Lane, and Rob Chambers to the courthouse to watch the vote count. News Channel 12's Ross Adams joins us live now with the latest on the investigation. Ross.
The report finds no evidence that anyone committed a crime in the courthouse incident since there were no witnesses or any video recording of what happened, but it does point a finger directly at Hinds County Constable John Lewis for playing a key role. The report is just over 1 page long. It states that Lewis told investigators in the DA's office that he directed 3 people to come to Jackson from Hattiesburg to observe the vote count. DA Smith tells us Lewis later gave a second statement clarifying that he did not open the door for the group, but Smith says that statement is contradictory. It says it gives the impression that Lewis was at the courthouse and helped the McDaniel supporters to get inside.
Of course, there are no cameras around, and I can't tell whether or not he was physically present, but if you look at the statement, of course, he describes quite well that cars are visible, lights are on, door is locked.
Yes, that's Janice Lane's statement to me. That's my recording of her description of the night.
The DA says that gives the impression that you were physically at the courthouse.
He's wrong on that.
The DA's report also says there is no evidence that a uniformed officer helped the Tea Party members, the McDaniel supporters, to get inside the courthouse. There had been reports that they had gotten the assistance of a JPD officer. Again, no evidence that that happened, according to the DA's report. For now, we're live in the newsroom. Ross Adams, WJTV, News Channel 12.
Thousands, even millions of dollars are rolling into the U.S. Senate race between Senator Thad Cochran and Chris McDaniel. Here are the latest developments as we follow the campaign money trail. We've continued to track contributions and expenses in the Cochran and McDaniel campaigns, but one disbursement from a pro-Cochran super PAC is raising some eyebrows. According to documents from the Federal Election Commission, the Mississippi Conservative super PAC dispersed $60,000 to Paradigm Government Relations. That political consulting firm is owned by the GOP chairman, Pete Perry. Is this legal?
While some people in some parts of the state try to say, well, I need to be neutral, I'm on the committee, we take a totally different opinion here.
He's taken more than $60,000 from a super PAC whose sole intention it is to destroy my character.
News Channel 12 is talking to all sides, including the state GOP chairman. Tune in tonight at 6 as we continue to follow the money. News Channel 12 is your source for full election coverage. Stay with us on air and online for the latest updates on the June 24th Republican runoff in the race for U.S. Senate. Now to a story that's making headlines around the world. After about a week of deliberations, President Obama laid out his plans to help Iraq fend off an attack from Sunni militants wanting to establish an Islamic State within parts of that country and Syria. Craig Boswell is in Washington, D.C. with more details.
President Obama says he's ready to send up to 300 military advisors to Iraq to help the country from falling into a full-scale civil war.
American forces will not be returning to combat in Iraq, but we will help Iraqis as they take the fight to terrorists who threaten the Iraqi people, the region, and American interests as well.
The president is not ordering airstrikes as of now, but confirmed he has increased surveillance flights over Iraq.
And going forward, we will be prepared to take targeted and precise military action if and when we determine that the situation on the ground requires it.
President Obama did not call for Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki to step down, something many in Congress say needs to happen.
Maliki has to be transitioned out. But the only way that that's going to happen is for us to assure Iraqis that we will be there to assist.
President Obama says a long-term solution will require Iraqis to bridge their own sectarian divide.
Above all, Iraqi leaders must rise above their differences and come together around a political plan for Iraq's future.
Sunni militants continue to hold several cities north of Baghdad and have vowed to take the capital city. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
Secretary of State John Kerry will head to Europe and the Middle East this weekend for meetings on Iraq. The Reservoir Independence Day celebration is coming up soon, and it's time to announce the secret code phrase. That winner will receive VIP seating to the celebration. Here's the code: liberty and justice for all. Now that you have the code, call in to Miss 103 tomorrow morning to win. Again, the code is liberty and justice for all. Good luck and have fun. Still to come on News Channel 12 at 5, it's time for this week's edition of Southbound. Ken South takes us on a trip to a swamp in the Mississippi Delta. And we're getting you healthy answers on why warnings on antidepressant labels cause teen suicide attempts to go up. But first.
Well, we'll have another look at Live IMAX 12. I'll let you know where those storms are going and where they're headed. And what about this weekend? It is the first day of summer coming up just a couple days. It's going to feel very summer-like. I'll have details in your 8-day forecast just after the break.
And now, your Storm Team 12 forecast with meteorologist Brad Mousehart.
Well, we're still about 2 days away from summer, but you'd think we've already been in summer, the summer season for at least the last month or so. Those temperatures continue to rise. We've been seeing some slightly cooler temperatures, at least over towards Brandon, 82 degrees, 88 right now in downtown Jackson, 90 degrees in Canton. But when you start to factor in the humidity, and that has been the story the past couple days, is the humidity, all the moisture in the air that's been coming right off the Gulf. Those heat index values, at least earlier in many spots, were above that 100-degree mark. Now everybody below it, at least some of us just slightly below it. Yazoo City after the rain now at 98, 98 degrees in Canton. 95 degrees over here in Forest. Some of the cooler spots down here toward the south. Down 94 degrees right now down in Pike County. At least that's what it feels like out there. But either way, it's still very, very hot. And with a little bit of rain, that gust front pushing through, it's actually lowered the temperature just a little bit back in the mid-80s now with a little bit of cloud cover as well. The dew point at 76. Downright oppressive, 76. Once you get above the 70-degree mark, it starts to feel uncomfortable. At 76 is almost unheard of in some cases. Wind, at least for the time, is calm, but expected to pick back up. Now, like I mentioned earlier, just before the break, this small itty-bitty thunderstorm that's kind of fizzling out now into the northwest of Jackson. What happens with the thunderstorm? The air rises and warm air rises. Eventually, it cools off once it hits the higher levels of the atmosphere. And it has nowhere to go but straight back down. And that's why we saw that gust front pushing back down. That's that colder air as that storm begins to fizzle here to the northwest of Jackson. So that was pushing its way towards the Edwards area back here through Metro Jackson and towards the airport. That can also cause some problems at the airport with low-level wind shears. Those planes land and take off. So no airport weather warnings, but we have been seeing these storms start to eventually taper their way on off, especially that big one that was back here through Yazoo City earlier has been continuing to weaken over the past couple hours. That's the good news. Our rain is on the way back down. Similar to what we saw through the day yesterday. Once that sun sets all together, our skies will clear out. We'll see mostly clear skies through the rest of our night, but you are going to expect more storms as we start to head through Friday and Saturday as well, and increasing chances for Sunday in addition to the storms we've been seeing. Just an isolated chance throughout your Friday afternoon. Again, right around 10-20% of us can see these showers or storms. The rest of us will stay dry. By Friday night, they go back away. By Saturday, they come back in a big way. I think about a 20% of us, maybe even 30% of us will see a shower or storm by the day on Saturday. But really, our best chance for rain will hold off until the day on Sunday. That's as a cold front will start to spread our way. That's going to bring us our best chance of storms, at least in the near term, before we start to head back towards next week. High pressure will slowly slide its way back on off to the south, opening up that door for the showers and storms to make their way on into central Mississippi. 89 degrees by about 7 o'clock. Those temperatures will go back up a little bit with that sunlight still out there. Just an isolated storm chance. I think we clear out again altogether by the midnight hour. 76 degrees and down to 74. A very mild and a very muggy start to your Friday morning as we start to head back towards that first weekend of summer under mostly sunny skies. Now, like I said, the rain chances do increase the next couple days. Right around 20% the next couple days. 30% on Sunday as that cold front starts to nudge our way, really almost wringing the atmosphere out like a sponge, like a wash rag. It's going to take all that out by Sunday. 30% chance of rainfall. Heading back towards next week by Monday, probably a day to recharge the atmosphere, but those rain shower chances still there. Better chance, though, Tuesday and Wednesday. And temperatures, a brisk 88 by the day on Wednesday. A little bit of relief anyway as we start to head towards next week.
Maybe that'll recharge us.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, thank you very much. Coming up on News Channel 12 at 5, it's Thursday. That means it's time for Ken South's weekly edition of Southbound. This week, he visits a swamp in the Mississippi Delta. Can't wait to hear about this. Stay with us.
President Obama is sending hundreds of U.S. Special Forces to Iraq. We'll take you to the scene of the brewing civil war. Plus, dozens of government scientists may have been exposed to live anthrax bacteria. We'll have the details tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And here's a look at what's coming up in prime time on News Channel 12.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 at 5.
Every Thursday, News Channel 12's Ken South sets out to find the most interesting places in Mississippi. And today, Ken takes us to a nature preserve in the Delta to see some of the oldest living things in the world. The cypress swamp of Sky Lake is the destination in this week's edition of Southbound.
Once part of the Mississippi River, this old oxbow lake in northern Humphreys County has remained unchanged for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Sky Lake is really one of the natural wonders of Mississippi. along with places like the Mississippi River or the Gulf Islands.
And the wonderful thing about Sky Lake is the easy access. The nature preserve is free. Just walk right through on a boardwalk 12 feet off the swamp floor. A majority of this boardwalk was constructed in 2010 during a drought when water levels were at a 50-year low. After recent rains, the water today is high, so we see and hear a lot of animals in the swamp below. Overhead is a constant chorus of native birds.
None of this wildlife is in your face so much. It's around you and wonderful to hear and see.
The boardwalk meanders 1,700 feet into the heart of the swamp. Even on a hot day, the stroll is pleasant.
It can be humid, but even today, it feels even nicer than the land around it. And you know, you have a wonderful canopy of trees protecting you from the hot sun. And it's a very peaceful place.
A place once owned by Mark Simmons. He knew it was special and decided to donate it to the state.
So people like you could come and enjoy it and just want it preserved.
What's being preserved is a little piece of the past. Walking through the swamp, you're surrounded by giant ancient cypress trees, trees related to the sequoias of California. The biggest trees here are more than 1,000 years old. The boardwalk ends at the largest tree in the swamp, discovered by Mark Simmons and his daughter in 1985.
She said, "Daddy, that's the largest tree I have ever seen in my life. Look how big it is." And we called the state forester. She did the next morning and told them. And she said, you're right. That's the largest tree that we have on record anywhere.
This tree may be the oldest living thing in Mississippi. And even when the water is high, you can see it up close. There are paddling trails for canoes and kayaks through the swamp.
Really, Sky Lake is one of those places that we all should understand kind of what the landscape used to look like. And then how special places like this are and how we can care for them and even restore other places.
Until that happens, this place is one of a kind. From Sky Lake in Humphreys County, I'm Ken South for Southbound.
Oh, that's so beautiful. The swamp provides habitat for songbirds. You saw some of them there. Waterbirds, white-tailed deer, alligators, and possibly even that endangered black bear. There are new bathrooms and an amphitheater on the preserve before you enter the swamp, so large groups can be accommodated. For directions to Sky Lake, just go to our website at wjtv.com and click on the Southbound tab on our home page. Thank you, Ken. Coming up in tonight's Medical Watch, a new connection between higher grades and health. We're getting you healthy answers on how one influences the other. That's straight ahead on News Channel 12 at 5.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 at 5.
In health news, new research shows a genetic mutation could lower your risk for heart disease, and the FDA is now revising the warning labels on antidepressant drugs. We're getting you healthy answers. Government warnings about the dangers of antidepressants and young people may have backfired. Harvard researchers found when prescriptions for these drugs dropped after the warnings, teen suicide attempts went up. The Food and Drug Administration has now revised the warning, telling doctors to also consider the risks of not prescribing antidepressant drugs. Massachusetts researchers have discovered 4 gene mutations that lower triglycerides, a type of fat in the blood. The study found lowering triglycerides can significantly reduce the risk of heart disease. Physically fit children may get higher grades in school. Researchers in Spain studied more than 2,000 children. They found muscle strength, motor ability, and other components of physical fitness have beneficial effects on the brain that can improve academic performance. We're getting you healthy answers on air, online, and on your mobile device. We'll be right back.
This is WJTV News Channel 12 at 5.
There are several stories we'll be following for you throughout the night. Here's a quick look at what we're working on tonight at 6. News Channel 12's Mallory Pullen investigates campaign disbursements in the Cochran-McDaniel campaign. We'll have the details on the district attorney's finding on the election night incident at the Hinds County Courthouse. And a man is arrested on child porn charges.
Well, those temperatures continue to warm up as we head towards your first weekend of summer, all the way to 94 both Saturday and Sunday, before finally cooling off just a little bit in the beginning of next week as temperatures dropping back into a very chilly 88 degrees.
I'll tell you, it was a hot one today. It's probably still hot out there.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Thanks for watching News Channel 12 tonight at 5. We'll see you at 6, everyone. Good night.